Hey YouTube, this is Boston Girl 5560 and I'm trying to answer a question one of my subbies gave me, and if I'm answering it wrong, excuse me and correct me. But I think the question was it a hard choice to become a single mother by choice? And I feel it was the hardest choice of my life. And it actually took me a few years to make the choice. It wasn't instantaneous, it wasn't done on a whim. And I mentioned or touched upon my story a couple of times, but I guess I'll start from the beginning. I had these neighbors. I had bought a house in this subdivision. I was so proud of myself. I was like 27 when I bought the house, and I love this house. The neighborhood started getting bad after the housing market crashed. There seemed to be a lot more renters than own, and I have my theories about what happened, but there was starting to be a lot of break-ins. My house actually got broken into once. Anyways, so this girl came by neighborhood watch. So I befriended her, and we had been friends for a couple of years. And then walking my dog, I met another neighbor, and I befriended her. Okay, so she was our first single mother by choice of the group, the second friend. So the girl I met a neighborhood watch, let's call her friend A, and the second girl we'll call friend B. Well, friend B actually adopted a child on her own. So bad, it took her so long. That's why when people say, well, why don't you adopt? It's not that simple and easy. No one's just going to hand you a child, and it can be very expensive. So, and at the time, I didn't think about it for myself, okay? Not the adoption, the whole having a kid alone. So then the friend A was turning 40, and she's like, I want to be a mother, and I want to be a mother by myself because I don't have a man, blah blah blah. And I was like, okay. And she knows how I am about research and stuff. I have a blog or several blogs, and I wrote a book and all this stuff. And she was like, well, will you research single mother, being a single mother alone, um, for me? And I took on the challenge, and I started researching it. So who knew there was a single mother by choice organization that had been around for 30 years, and that there had been a single mother by choice group in Atlanta. And we went to one group meeting, and that's when I, let's say, met friend C, my single mother by choice friend guru. Let's call her C. Friend C just became my girl in the fight. We were there for each other in a lot of ways through this process. She mentored me. I pushed her. She pushed me. It was a lot of that. But when I first started, I think I was like 35. So I started considering it for myself initially. And then, the group was a lot of white women, successful women too. There was a lot of successful women, like, the six-figure salaries and the big titles and stuff. And, I went to college, whatever, but I really feel I'm stuck in like middle management. I'm not making six figures and all that. But, on the flip side, there were a few teachers and things like that also. But at first, I was feeling really intimidated. Plus, the housing market crash hit, my house was underwater. I didn't really have a network conducive for kids in Atlanta. You know, I'm from Boston, so all my family was here. Um, Also, Georgia didn't pay for any fertility. I mean, Massachusetts seems to pay for everything, but Georgia didn't pay for crap, so that was a factor. And then, what happened? Oh, so all this was a factor. So the first thing, I was not in the position, when it all came up, I was not in the position to be a single mother by choice because, I'm not a fly by night kind of person. I'm like a planner, and I want to think of my finances and can I support a child and da, da, da. So, there was definitely some phases in this struggle of figuring out, A, do I want to do this? B, do I want to wait for a husband? C, which waiting for a husband was getting kind of desperate because when you meet a man, and, at 35, he's like, oh, you don't have kids? Well, I have kids, and my kid's like 15 and 10 and 11, and I don't want to have any more kids. So you really run the risk. I met a lot of men who, if I already had children, it would have worked out, more so than a man who wanted to have a child. And then I felt like I was coming off a little desperate, like I didn't want to just meet a man to have a child because I'm just not that type. I just didn't want to do it. So this just seemed like a better way for me, but I still felt like I couldn't afford it. So what happened was, I was getting sick of Atlanta anyway, even though my family, God to the hand of God, can drive me freaking crazy. I missed them for the first time. I had been in Georgia for 14 years and I was getting really homesick. Not homesick like boo hoo or whatever, homesick like, I've been away from them for so long. I'm not married. I don't have my own family, so why not go back home? So I had planned. So I was fed up and I was like, I called a friend of my cousin's in Atlanta who's a realtor, and I'm like, okay, I know I can't sell this house because it's underwater. How about renting it, right? And he was like, well, the rent rate is lower than your mortgage. Okay, that was just like a knife in the heart. I ain't renting this for less than what I pay monthly. And then if they jack it up, then I can't afford to fix it and all that. Oh, I wasn't doing that. So then he was like, well, why don't you short sell it? And I was like, short sale it? What do you mean? He was like, well, I just short sold my girlfriend's house and I've done this several times. I said, well, can you come over and explain it to me? You know? So I had another neighbor come over too, and it was all based on your bank, like if they short sell it, because a bank rather gets something than nothing in foreclosure. So we went through. I agreed. I was like on board. I didn't like how it would mess up your credit. I didn't like that, and it's not the short sale that messed up my credit. It was the late payments to the mortgage company that messed up my credit, but it didn't. I had very good credit, so it didn't mess it up like that. You know what I mean? Like, it took it down, but it didn't mess it up like that. So then I had to get out. So I moved in with some friends. This was all in the when it started happening like this, like all the things to get me to the road of having a baby. So I moved in with some friends, and I love living with them. It was a lesbian couple, my birth team, and I love living with them. I thought it would be a little awkward at first, but it was great. But then circumstances happened beyond their control, and I was planning to move to Boston. They were like the transition to moving to Boston, and I gave them my dog and everything. He is still spoiled by them, and my job at the time, which I was going to leave anyway, offered me a promotion. What? And they really wanted me to take this job. So they paid me a lot to take this job. And I was like, okay, I'll stay in Atlanta another year or two, or maybe a year and a half. So since I had a promotion, I had money, I was like, well, I mean, I didn't have a whole lot of money, not six-figure money. So, but I had more money. I was like, I'm going to try to have a baby here. So I went to the feminist woman center that was supposed to help single mothers and single mothers by choice get pregnant. So I don't know if you want me to go through that story, but it wasn't a good experience. I hope people have better experiences than I did. I did not have a good experience there. I actually did get pregnant the first time, and all this to say, I mean, you can rewatch my videos and hear about my journey. That it was difficult to come up with this this plot, this plan to have a baby. And then I first, so okay, so let me get it back. So there was definitely a few layers. What happened initially is I thought I couldn't do it, I couldn't afford it, I was stuck in this house, and I was like, I'm just going to ask God for help. God is going to get me to the point of having a child. And I don't know if you have faith, but I had faith in it. And what happened then, so the house got sold, but all in the process, before I even got this far, I got my family to sign on board, which was not simple. And the true standout was my mother. She wanted me to be happy, and she wanted a grandchild, so she was the true standout. My mother was the true standout of support, and she wanted me to have a baby. Now, granted, she doesn't want me to have baby number two by myself, but I'm so happy and grateful to what she has done to this point. And I talked to another family member, because my family is really small, about who would take my child if something happened to me. So I got his okay on that. you know, and it's all set up, and just, I don't know what can happen to me. Anything's possible. I could drop dead tomorrow. Who knows? So I got all of those ducks in a row before I even began to attempt to get pregnant. And then I wanted to do home insemination, but it's illegal in Georgia. Yeah, shit's illegal in Georgia. I couldn't believe that crap. That's another story. But anyways, so then by the time I was trying to get pregnant with all the disappointment, whatever, I needed to talk to somebody because I was really depressed, and it was just a lot. You really have to think about who's in your corner and who's going to be there if it doesn't work out. Because, I definitely lost a few friends in going through the process, not being happy with not getting pregnant or having miscarriages or whatever. You really need that strong friend. And some women had my back. I mean, power to the people. They were there. One person, we had a falling out and we eventually kissed and made up. A couple people I just totally cut out my life because I just felt the negativity. I felt that they weren't really on my side, that I'd always been the single person uh, that if someone's having a crisis, I could drop whatever and talk to them on the phone. And I'm pretty much a strong person. I'm not the one calling crying and upset all the time. I pretty much handle my emotions and feelings. But with this, it was no holds barred between the fertility medicine, between the wanting to get pregnant, between all the stress. I was a crying, sloppy, cussing people out mess. Straight up mess. And I had to leave some friends because, you realize who your friends are when you need them. When you don't need them, that's when everything's good and anybody can be your friend. But you realize who your friends are when you need them. And, so there's definitely some people that got kicked to the curb. And then the other people just had my back, and I was talking to them and I was blubbering and I was upset. And, I cussed out a few family members because, I didn't want to hear, it, and this was me. I think I look so bright with this light, but whatever. If God wants you to have a baby, you'll have a baby. Nobody wants to hear that crap. I lived my life trying to do the right thing, not to be a baby's mama, not to, go to college, get a good job, always supported myself, bought a house, I did all the right things, what I thought were right. And to not get a baby, I just felt it was like a stab in the heart to, you're gonna deny me this too? Like I want a husband, he's not here. Not to say I can't still find a husband. I would love to find a husband that wants to do YouTube videos with me. I can't seem to find anybody who wants to do YouTube videos with me other than my girl. But other than her and a few other people, that's it. Nobody wants to do, I don't know how these people get the world to be on YouTube with them, because nobody wants to be on there with me. But anyways, that's digressing. So for you or whoever's listening, or I hope I answered this subby's question, do you? My mother, does have good quotes. Sometimes I think she's batshit crazy, but she said, when you go to the grave, you're going by yourself. So live your life the way you want to live it. And it's true. When I go to the grave, I'm going by myself, and I do not regret my baby. I do not regret my choices. I love her to pieces. I am so glad she's here. It's to the point that I want another one. I don't know if I could handle another one, but I want another one. But I'm so glad I have her, and it was a blessing. And I also say faith is a big contributor. And, you know, um, I have other videos of things I've done, and I'm kind of like the overdo it type of person. So I was going to acupuncture, I was taking the supplements, I was doing anything and everything possible to make this happen. So I hope that answered your questions. If it didn't, please let me know, and I'll do another one. Bye, YouTube.